Today we're going to talk about how to follow up in network marketing and how you're losing 98% of the money you could be making if you're not. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you a story of how a guy lost tens of thousands of dollars a month by not following up. Why bad follow-up is better than no follow-up. And then I'm going to teach you my follow-up system. So when I got serious about network marketing, I was dead broke. I'd lost it all in the real estate market crash of 2008, 2009, being chased by bill collectors. And to be honest, I was pretty deeply depressed. You know, that'll affect you. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. And someone invited me to a meeting where it was network marketing, which to be honest, I didn't want to do, but I really was pushed into it because I didn't see any other options. In that company, long story short, I became the #1 income earner. And I had dozens of six-figure earners in my team. I made millions of dollars with that company. And then one day I was at a company event and I was the #1 income earner, had the largest team. I think at that point I had about 85% of the organization was in my team. And a guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey man," and he looked familiar to me, but I didn't really know who he was. And he said, "Dude, I'm the guy that told you about this." And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. You see, this guy had told me about this company probably 6 months before I even joined, but he never followed up. Had he followed up and gotten me at the right time, which it was the right time, he would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars residually a month. If you're not following up, I'm telling you right now, you're working too hard, #1, because most people, they don't buy on the first engagement, most people, and you're losing so much money. So bad follow-up is better than no follow-up. You can, and I've seen this, you can suck at sales, but be good at follow-up, and you will do just fine. Now, there's a gentleman that I've learned some from, and that is Grant Cardone. And I worked with Grant Cardone. I actually gave him $100,000 for 6 hours of his time. A little crazy, right? Let me tell you, in that first hour, he gave me an insight into how we were specifically running events that made me over $1 million that year. So just to kind of give you the background in case you don't know, Grant Cardone has a very large sales training organization. He has a ton of people on the phones, and they're constantly calling people to try to close them. And I asked the question, I said, "Hey, I'm just curious, what percentage of your sales come from the very first reach out?" Do you know the answer? 2%. 2%. Now, this is a professional sales organization trained in every area of closing and persuasion, etc., and they closed 2% of their first sale. So knowing that, does it make any sense at all that you don't follow up? Maybe, just maybe, their salespeople have more experience than you, but 98% of their sales come from follow-up. And I have so many stories. I'm going to share with you 2 quick stories. So my thought around follow-up is I follow up in a couple different exceptions. I follow up until they pass away. That's if I read their obituary, you know what? I probably should stop following up because it may offend the widow if she's checking the messages. Clearly, they're not going to be joining. Now, there are some exceptions. #1, if I find out they're in another network marketing company, I'm not trying to break up a happy marriage. I'll wish them well. I'll stop following up. Or if they're really rude to me. So if someone's really rude to me, that's how they're going to treat other people in the team. I don't want that energy. I don't want to deal with the drama. Do I want to bring them home to mama and meet the fam? No, I do not. So if they're rude, I mark them off the list. But without those exceptions, I'm continuing to follow up. Let me give you an example. So I ran an event down in Fort Myers, Florida. I currently live in Naples, Florida. I ran an event in Fort Myers, Florida. And I'm teaching my follow-up system to the crowd. And I'm sharing exactly what I just shared with you. And there was a guy there, Dean, who used to work for a payroll company, and he raises his hand and he says, "Hey, can I show everyone something?" And he shows his phone where I had texted him every few months from 2009 to 2016. And so I'm telling you, I practice what I preach. Now, Dean never did end up joining, but you know what? I didn't even remember following up with him because my follow-up system is just simple. It's fast. It's pretty easy to do. And I'll teach that here shortly. Let me share with you a different story though. I had a guy that I followed up with 6 times, and I'm going to follow up with him the 7th time. He's told me no 6 times. And on that 7th attempt, he finally decides to join. He goes on, and this is my buddy Steve, he goes on to become a 6-figure earner, left his job, and is now full-time in the industry. If I follow up with him 6 times, none of that happens. You have to understand that there's a way to follow up without being a pest or without bothering them or bugging them. And I want to show you that system. So before I walk you through my follow-up system, do you have someone in your team that isn't making money? Because the chances are they're not following up. Feel free to share this with them and they'll thank you later. All right, so how to follow up. I'm going to break this down into 2 categories. People that never have responded to you at all and people that have. Because they are different. They are different categories. And so let's just go over the category 1. So category 1, maybe you saw someone on Facebook and you wanted to send them a message. And so you send them a message like, hey, I know we don't know each other. I see that you're in Kentucky. I'm looking to expand my business in Kentucky. Would you be open to taking a look at what I'm doing? If not, no big deal. And they don't respond to that. What I would do is I would send them a follow-up message in a few days and say, hey, just want to make sure you saw my message. Let me know either way. Then I would also go on, if you're using whatever social media you're using, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, I would also go on their social media profile and I would drop a comment on one of their posts and say, hey, I sent you a message. Check it out when you have a chance. Thanks. That will increase the chances of them seeing that message, responding to that message. The final message that I'll send to someone who just isn't responding, at least it'll sound like the final message, is, hey, looks like this is something you're not interested in. I'm gonna mark you off of my list, but I wish you the very best. That's the message that has the highest chance of success, of them actually responding. Now, do I really mark them off my list? That's up to you. You're gonna be connecting with so many people if you follow our different strategies that you may decide if they don't respond at all for 3 or 4 different messages, maybe I just don't even connect with them. That's up to you. Now, if you go back to my story of Dean with the payroll company, that's someone I knew. Someone I know, I'll treat a little differently than someone I don't know that never responded to 3 or 4 of my messages. So let's go to the person that maybe did respond to your message. So let's say, I send a message to somebody and this is what, people like call ghosting, right? People call it ghosting when they respond one time and then they totally stop responding to you. Here's how to handle that. So let's say I send a message, hey, I see that you're a waitress and I happen to help waitresses make extra money. Would you be open to take a look at what it is that I'm doing? If not, no big deal. So you send them the presentation and you don't hear anything. You follow up with them and say, hey, did you get a chance to watch the presentation? And nothing. They're not responding. So this is a person who responded at least once, but hasn't responded since, or hasn't responded in at least 4 days. So at this point, I would do my 4-day follow-up. The 4-day follow-up looks like this. Hey, I just want to apologize. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to follow up with you. How are you? Do not say anything else than that. Do not include a link. Do not include, did you watch the video? Because what we're trying to do here is make a non-respondent a respondent. Now, notice, is it your fault? No, it's their fault. But you can either be right or you can be rich. And so this is you giving them the freedom to claim that it's your fault and respond in an easy manner. If they respond, then obviously you then ask them the question that you were trying to ask them before. Hey, by the way, did you get a chance to watch the presentation? But let's say that they didn't respond to that. So you send this, hey, I want to apologize. I've been so busy. I haven't had a chance to follow up with you. How are you? They still don't respond. I would wait another 30 days and then I would send them, hey, looks like it's something that you're just not open to, which is totally fine. I'm gonna mark you off my list, but I wish you the very best. That's the message that you're gonna have the highest chance success rate with. They're gonna respond to that. It's a weird FOMO thing, but that's how it works. This is how psychology works. That's the one that you'll get the most responses to, but whether you do or don't, you can continue to drip on them. And what I mean by drip on them is my favorite ways are deflections. So what's a deflection? A deflection is you're asking them something in a manner that isn't directly for them. So let's say that they're a waitress. And so you may send them a message that says, hey, I know that this is something that's not a fit for you, but there's a waitress that just started making a lot of money in our team. Do you know any other waitresses that might want to make some extra money on the side? Now, the chances of them actually giving you a referral, pretty low. But the chances of them being intrigued, very high. So a lot of times you'll have them react and say, wait, you got what? Wait, how's this work? Because they really weren't paying attention to you at first. And so the deflection means I'm not back to pitching them directly, I'm kind of pitching around them. And so finding occupations is my favorite. Someone who's in a similar occupation, or maybe they're a retired school bus driver. Well, if you can find a school bus driver story in your company, doesn't have to be in your team. Because the same system. You know, a lot of people, they limit themselves to only use stories of people in my team. That's not what you want to do. Use any story in the entire company. And you start doing those kind of deflections with those kind of follow-ups, you will see your sales absolutely soar. Okay, do you want my very favorite way to grow your network marketing business? Well, every Thursday, I do a live training on our 3-step launch to help you grow your network marketing business. If you'd like to register for that and it's live, I would love to see you on there. Click the link in the description, get registered, and I'll see you over there.